Hello, welcome to News Central Exclusive. I am Benga Aboroa. My guest today is His Excellency, the Ambassador of the Republic of Tanzania to the Federal Republic of Germany, His Excellency Dr. Abdallah Saleh Possi. He was born in Dar es Salaam on the 25th of August 1979. He is the Tanzanian Ambassador to the Federal Republic of Germany. He is also accredited to Austria, Bulgaria, Czech Republic, the Holy See, Hungary, Poland, Romania and Switzerland. Before being appointed to serve as an ambassador, Dr. Possi served as a member of parliament and the deputy minister of state in the Prime Minister's office responsible for persons with disability. Previously, he worked as a lecturer at the University of Dodoma in Tanzania and practiced as an advocate at the High Court of Tanzania. He had also worked as a tutor at the Institute of Judicial Administration in Lushoto, Tanga, Tanzania. He holds an LLB and LLM from the University of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania and a Doctor of Philosophy from the University of Erlangen, Nuremberg, Germany. Welcome to NC Exclusive, Your Excellency, Dr. Abdallah Saleh Possi. Nice to have you join us. Now, Dr. Possi, about 4 years ago, you spoke at the annual conference about cultural diplomacy. Can you share more insight into how and what the world stands to gain from promoting cultural diplomacy?
Well, this is a question, and I should admit that it's not very easy. And I would have loved it if the question was what Tanzania, started like what Tanzania stands to gain. Anyway, you see, cultural diplomacy is that part of soft diplomacy, if I may call it that way, whose aim is to make a country's culture, country's people known to the world. Now, this is a gain of a particular country, but when it comes to the world gain, what does the world stand to gain? Then I should say that in the world of today, where migration is a common phenomena for positive or negative reasons, it is very important for people to understand of culture of other people, and that way we eliminate the so-called fear of unknown with respect to culture, and we avoid such tendencies to misperceive other people's culture, other people's action, and which would lead us into such behaviors which we call discrimination or racism. So yes, if we understand each other well in terms of culture, the idea is we will respect each other because we will look at one another as equal beings. Yeah. So it's about equality and mutual respect of all people in the world.
Thank you very much, Dr. Possi. Now, what are the most interesting social-cultural values you find as a common denominator between Tanzania and Germany?
Wow. Let me start it this way. Let us look at this social cultural values between Europe and Africa.
Yes.
It sounds strange because in most cases you hear of people saying that, okay, Africans and Europeans have got different cultures. Of course, perfect. Yeah. Yes. The way my definition of a family as an African and compared to European definition of family, which tends to live out the extended family member, is very different. But still, we are living in global world. Look at my blazer here. Yeah, it's not that African. Yeah, but it's understandable that if you go to Tanzania today, of course, to people who have been exposed to the global world, they will find it acceptable, just as it is found acceptable in Europe. That said, Tanzania and Germany, they are common values. Let's look at religions. Of course, there are Muslims in Germany, although very in minority.
Yes.
There are also Muslims in Tanzania. There are Catholics in Germany. There are Catholics in Tanzania. There are Lutherans in Germany. And there are Lutherans in Tanzania. And if I am not mistaken, of course, don't quote me, it could be that the biggest Lutheran church outside Germany is in, I mean, the biggest population of the people who follow the teachings of Martin Luther, the Lutheran Church. Outside Europe, the biggest one is in Tanzania, if my sources are correct. Yes. So yes, that is intense. So both countries view themselves as multicultural, multi-religion, although I should say that not just against Germany, but against many other countries in the world, like Tanzania has done much, 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 much better when it comes to religion tolerance. This is something which I think the world...
Cohesion, because Tanzania is one of the few African countries that have never experienced a civil war, and it's known for its peaceful nature. Yes. Now, Dr. Possi, as a scholar of note and an envoy of international standing, part of your job requires you to speak for your country or defend the actions of your government when need be. Have you ever been in a situation where you find certain actions by government indefensible or impracticable and against your value?
Not really. I admit, though, in diplomacy, despite friendly relations, of course, the good thing is Tanzania does not have an enemy. Still, you do not agree on all things. There are issues where we have different understandings. But as a diplomat, my job is to make sure that people understand the actions which my country take. I'll give you an example. I mean, during the first and second phase of Corona, I mean, Tanzania decided not to lock down.
Under the former president, you mean?
Yeah, and of course we continued. We continue with that path that we had never locked down, and people were surprised. But this is the situation that you have a population which depend on daily work in order to get their daily meal, in order to get the money to purchase medicine, etc. So the lockdown would, the gains of it, I think, would have been lesser compared to the losses economically, which would have severely impacted the health sector itself. And what you did not want is to have a pandemic and a severe economic situation at the same time. And remember, many African countries, I should say almost all African countries, none of them has the capacity or had the capacity of tests like many European countries have. And under those circumstances, I mean, what is the essence of locking the country down if the testing capacities are small? So we embarked more on the, social awareness campaign, washing hands, etc. Because at the end of the day, it was very clear at the very beginning that this was not going to be just a 3 months or 2 weeks thing. And here we are. This is 2022, and we hope things will be better. So, it was difficult, but in the end, I think people understood. And another thing also which people never understood is that Tanzania's population, it's not that we thought that other people were ignorant. No, I mean, it's only that you cannot compare certain countries. So Tanzania's population, almost 50% of it is below 18. And I think if according to the census of 2012, it's only 1/5 is 50 years old and above. And under those circumstances, the sufferings, of course, would be, the severity of suffering would be different from Tanzania to other countries with more older population. That being said, it does not mean that we did not we did not have deaths from COVID. We had them. Yeah, I had friends. I had friends of relatives who got sick or who knew a person who died. But still, that did not mean that we should have taken, or we should take, or we should do everything which another country does. So,
yes, the demographics and the situation in Tanzania is unique to Tanzania. That's why there were Tanzanian solutions to the issue.
The situation of each country is unique to itself. Yes. We have the common things which we share as global citizens, but at the end of the day, each country has got a unique situation, and therefore you cannot have a copy and paste approach to everything. Even here now in Europe, of course, you have countries where now social distancing mechanisms are just like have been lifted, and you have countries so adhere to those rules. So, when you
absolutely. Now, Dr. Possi, you were instrumental to the resolution on the discrimination against albinism. What were the events and challenges like before the Pan-African Parliament adopted a resolution on persons with albinism in Africa?
Yeah, actually, to put the record straight, it is the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, it's not the Pan-African Parliament. Of course, this is the human rights body of the African Union. Yeah, you see, from 2006 up to 2009, exactly, these were the really difficult years for persons with albinism in Tanzania and some other African countries because of course, people perceive it because of negative social beliefs, because of witchcraft. So some people killed or mutilated persons with albinism. Although if you ask me, I would say the problem is more than witchcraft. The problem is that perception of normalcy, which tends to look at other beings as abnormal, and especially if they form the minority. This was the problem, activism, or not activism, the condition demanded that something should be done. So many actions were taken, of course, at the United Nations level and at the African Commission. I was there. Yeah, I understood that this was an important step. The voice of albinism was made known in the world of human rights and also in the world of disability rights. Although I understand that a resolution is not the same as a binding international agreement or a binding legal instrument, still it was a significant step. And in Africa now, or in the African Union, and then albinism is not a strange term. And I hope one day we will be talking as, of course, all human beings are equal, but why are we talking about gender equality, equality of persons with albinism, or equality of persons with disabilities? Because the ideal substantial equality has not been achieved yet. So it's an ongoing struggle, and I hope one day we will get there.
Now, still on this issue, how did you feel after its passage, and how much of that instrument has improved inclusiveness and protection of people living with albinism on the continent?
Okay, the resolution at the regional level is one thing. And how this, each country adopts a specific measure is another thing. Remember, the African Union, in many instances, is not, of course, the legal regime of African Union is not like the European Union. When, for example, if the European Union passes a legislation, then after a few months, you find it enforced in various states. Yeah. The structure of the African Union and its relationship with the individual municipal laws of different countries is different.
So it's subject to ratification by those individual countries. So
Not just ratification. Yes. If it was an agreement, you could have talked of a ratification. This is a resolution. Still, as I say that it created that impetus. It raised the voice, and now you find different countries decided to take different measures. For example, Tanzania passed the Disability Rights Act in 2010, of course, 4 years after the adoption of the 2006 Disability Convention. Some other countries also, they were amending their laws, disability laws, to be more inclusive. And people might wonder, why am I talking about disability where the issue is albinism? Well, depending on albinism fits well in the definition of, if I can call it, disability under the CRPD Convention.
Okay, now, Dr. Possi, just before we begin to wrap things up, over the years, Germany and Tanzania have enjoyed a good relationship with trade between Germany and Tanzania growing gradually. In what areas can both countries bolster affinity in bilateral relationships? What more can be done?
First of all, from a very broad perspective, each country in this world needs another, just like Germany and Tanzania needs each other. Of course, trade, yes, we buy a lot from Germany in terms of technology, but they also buy a lot from, of course, from us. I mean, coffee, vegetables, fruits. Oh, okay, these agro products. And for us, this is important because agriculture employs a significant, very large percentage of our population. And we think if we more of agriculture to the extent that we can produce in quality and quantity that can satisfy diversity of the world market, then we will be able to create jobs enough for our population, which is the struggle in many African countries. In terms of politics, yeah, we are living in global world. We need to move together, and it's the foreign policy of Tanzania that we should be friendly to every nation.
Okay, we're happy to know that, and this is where we draw the curtains on this exclusive. I would like to say a very big thank you to you, Your Excellency, Dr. Abdallah Saleh Possi, for talking to us on News Central TV. We appreciate your time and your insights.
Thank you very much.
And that's it on NC Exclusive. Our guest has been the Ambassador of the Republic of Tanzania to the Federal Republic of Germany, His Excellency Dr. Abdallah Saleh Possi. Until next time on NC Exclusive, I am Benga Aboroa.